Hi friends. So today I want to talk about how powerful the tongue is. The tongue is so powerful. The scripture talks a lot about the tongue, power of the tongue, life and death, the power of the tongue. There's so many verses about the tongue. The tongue is so powerful, and there's so many sins that we can commit with with our tongue. We can gossip, we can slander, we can lie, we can have a harsh tongue, we can have so many. It's just so long. We can have a prideful tongue, cursing, argumentative tongue, idle tongue. I mean, there's so many sins that you can commit with your tongue. The tongue is so evil. Like it says, it's full of poison. Actually, if you look at Proverbs 15 verses 2, it says, a wise tongue pours out knowledge, but a foolish tongue speaks out foolishness. So a wise tongue go based off knowledge and facts, but a foolish tongue talks just to hear themselves, talks just to talk, right? And that's not how you want to be. And then also, if you look at James 3 verses 8, it says, no man can tame the tongue. It is an unrestless evil, full of deadly poison. The scripture describes the tongue as full of deadly poison, because with your mouth, you can't take back what you say, and it can destroy a relationship that it took you years to build. So you got to be careful of the things that you say and don't say. Yeah, you gotta definitely be careful, especially if you're having a disagreement, because your flesh, when you have a disagreement with your friend, family, coworker, whatever it is, you have a disagreement, your flesh wants to tell them off, right? And our mouth, sometimes I've seen people with, oh my gosh, I didn't even think this mouth was possible. I mean, I've seen people cut people with their words. I mean, it was vicious. But so you got to be very careful, because our flesh wants to tell them off. And you know, the one thing you can say to that person to destroy them, to destroy their spirit and bring them down. But what do you get out of it though? What would you get out of it? Nothing, right? It just feeds the ego for the moment. You're happy for the moment. Like, I got him, I hurt him. But why would hurting them make you happy? That's the way you have to first start. Why is this giving this person pain making me happy? That's not good. That's not good at all. A way to overcome that is, of course, to give yourself space, walk away. Another thing is to remind yourself who that person is. Oh, this is my sibling. I can't speak to her like that. This is my partner. I love him. I love her. I cannot speak to him like that. You know, we're just frustrated right now. Or walk away, right? Remind yourself of who they are to you and why they're important to you. Right? Remind yourself of the good things, like who you're speaking to. Remind yourself. Because sometimes we need a reminder when you're so angry at the moment, you just want to lash out and your flesh wants to just retaliate and speak whatever's on your mind. And then you have to understand that your emotions will pass. The negative emotion that you feel will pass. And if you say something hurtful, they're going to remember that forever sometimes. I know people who hold on to memories forever. So you have to be careful what you say, because some people are sensitive. Some people hold on to it. Sometimes they value your opinion. Sometimes maybe the person values what you say or what you think about them. So your words, they hold on to it because it's important to them, because you're important to them. So you have to be careful what you say to them, especially when you're upset. That's the biggest way. That's the most important way to test yourself and to test to see if you're evolving. When you're in a moment where you want to lash out, where you want to act out of character, your flesh wants to respond. And your flesh wants to tell them off, and you sit back and say, and you live in the spirit instead. And you say, I remember the scripture says there's life and death in the power of the tongue. So I'm just gonna let it, let those emotions die down. I'll come back later. I'll walk away. I'll remember what this person is to me, how much they mean to me, right? Remind yourself of that. Yeah, and then if not, you can just walk away. And then you also have to remember the progress that you made. You have to remember how far you've come. Like if you're someone that's working on yourself and you're continuing to work on yourself, you don't want to set yourself backwards. Lashing out, doing what you used to do 5 years ago, that's reverting to your old ways. You don't want to be that person anymore. You want to evolve, right? So you have to remind yourself why this person is important to you, who they are to you. Don't talk to your loved ones like that. Don't talk to anyone like that, right? We're supposed to learn to be more like Christ-like. And realize that the emotions will pass, right? Walk away and you don't want to revert back to old ways. You want to progress, right? From like the last chapter we talked about, you know, putting away childish things. We have to grow up at some point, right? You can't lead by your emotions. So yeah, the tongue is very powerful. Even though your flesh wants to tell them off, don't do it, because it doesn't solve anything. And then, you know, you might lose a relationship that means so much to you because of your words. Because sometimes people don't forget what you say to them, you know? And sometimes, even if you're upset with someone, you don't realize what you think of them matters. So they take it, you know, they take it to heart. You know, they take it to heart. It really bothers them. And it's really sad, because it's to be able to walk away and control your tongue. That's a huge form of self-discipline, right? Someone that lashes out and says whatever they want. Even a scripture says a fool utters everything on their mind. A scripture says that a fool utters everything that's on their mind, right? When people say, well, that's just how I feel. I didn't ask you how you feel. Why do you always have to share your negative opinion or criticism especially if I didn't ask, right? So not everyone wants to hear. I mean, if they ask for it and you can speak to them in a loving way, that's fine. But you don't always have to speak everything that's on your mind, and you don't want to, you know, damage your relationships. So be careful what you say, because you can't take it back, and they'll probably remember it forever, and you don't want them to ever think, wow, that's how they really feel about me. But see, it destroys relationship. You got to be careful. You got to be careful, friends. All right. Bye, friends.